Alrighty. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Touch and Grass Podcast. I do apologize for missing last week. I even had a reminder and just blatantly turned it off because I thought it was an old reminder. And that was just completely my bad. I just completely, it just slipped my mind, even with an alarm, even with me turning it off. But for today, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to try and just do a shorter stream. So let's just get right into it. We're going to look at last week's, how my fantasy did. We're going to look at who to start for next week. We're also going to look at, I just had it on my screen, the games for next week. So who I think you should start. So let's just start with this. And so I'm in 2, so let's just look at my team. Scott won. So Justin Herbert had 22 points. Josh Jacobs had 9. Najee Harris, you can kind of see it right here. The only notable ones that Keenan Allen had 31 points. And he was against the Tennessee Titans. So it's always important to look at the schedules of who they're going to face because, like, the Tennessee Titans, I know it's only 2 games right now, but they're not doing very good, and he got 31 fantasy points off of them. Brandon Ayuk, for some reason... Oh, this was last week, right. So this was my team last week because it's changed. Because I added some guys and dropped some guys. So that's a thing to just pay attention to if you do use ESPN Fantasy. And so Brandon Ayuk, who is now out, he's out with a concussion. No, that's... what's his name? Meyer. I have him on my other fantasy team. Meyer does say questionable, but he is out. Cooper Kupp is still out. I believe this week I lost. I wish it would... Oh, no, I didn't even play because I had my bye week. Which was a good thing and a bad thing. I'm 1-0 right now because I think I'm 0-1 because I lost my first week. And then, so it didn't really matter for this week. And so next week, I have a whole new team. I still have Brandon Ayuk, but I picked up Zach Moss. I also picked up Jordan Love. I also picked up Jerome Ford. For some odd reason, it's not, didn't save my lineup. I'm just going to double check that my lineup is correctly saved. Oh, it is. Yes, sorry. It is the right lineup. I guess I just didn't start Jerome Ford. I thought I did. But I was able to pick up, I'm not going to say his name correctly, Puka Nakua, who's been doing incredible for the Rams because Cooper Kupp is injured, which is kind of a cursing and a blessing because it's like, I get they just paid a bunch of money to Cooper Kupp, but you lose one guy... And, sorry about that. You lose one guy, and you gain Kyren Williams, Puka Nuka, and another third name. All because of one injury, you have now 3 all-star players. Why I put quotations? Because it's their first year. They could be a one-hit wonder. You never know. But right now, Puka is doing amazing, and I'm probably butchering his name, and somebody can correct me on how to say it, but it doesn't matter until somebody actually does tell me. So I'm 1000% going to start him, and it did say start him while he's hot because you never know, he could go cold in the next couple of weeks. The realization that like he's in the NFL could kick in. And then I'm also starting the running back who they then just traded Cam Akers to the Vikings. So Kyren Williams is now the number 1 starter, which is huge, because Cam Akers or something, I think Akers, was a really good running back. Like, I don't think I ever actually had him in the past because he was always a good running back. Now that trade worked out for both of them. I mean, it's a little bit of risk on the Rams side, but they want to get younger anyways. Like, I don't know what the future is for Cooper Kupp when he comes back, because do you start the guy who had a one-year wonder, or do you start the 3 guys that are doing amazing in his absence. Like, do you go back to just starting him and losing games or winning games? Because I get it still early on, but he's not coming back until week 5. They could easily be. I don't know what the record is currently. I know it's only 2 games right now. Who are they face? I'm just seeing if I can see the record. It is, of course, it's 1-1. So they could go on a 5-game winning streak and be 6-1, and then Cooper Kupp comes back, and what do? Do you continue playing the hot hand, or do you go with the sure option? I would go with the hot hand. That's why I'm starting Puka and Kylan. And then I decided to pick up the Steelers D because somebody dropped them, and I had the Buccaneers, but I looked at their opponents for the next couple of games, and then there was like the Eagles and another tough team, and then they were in the bye week. So I'm like, well, I'll just pick up the Steelers because I like their points. And then I picked up Brandon Aubrey, I think that's how you say his name, and he's been doing really good for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the Dallas Cowboys haven't been doing good. Again, it's week 2. Anything could happen. In like by the time we get to playoffs, like the Cowboys could go on a 7-game winning streak. We have no idea. But with fantasy, you just have to play it week by week. Because you would think, oh, like I have Harris on the bench, I have Jordan Love on the bench, I have Jerome Ford on the bench. That one may be a risk for me, but I have nowhere to put him. Josh Jacobs is doing amazing. Williams is doing amazing. Puka is doing amazing, and I only have one spot. I only have one flex spot. There's no other spot for me to put him. Now to look at my other team, I had to call this team Team Jason because I couldn't call them both Team Scott with the same logo because I would have just gotten confused. Now in this one, I think I'm 1-1. And this week I'm a little unsure. It says that I'm going to lose. I don't know how to see it on the website, but it says that I'm going to lose. But again, it's all subjective based. So last week, let's just look. Herbert, we all know. Walker had 18 points. That was a great pickup by me. Justin Hill is now the starter. Sorry, this is last week. He started because whoever the Ravens running back is got injured, but a lot of players didn't do great for me. Like I believe I cut Nick Folk, or maybe I still have him. He got 10 points, which is great for a kicker, but Zay Jones and Dalvin Cook both basically had 0 points. Like, that's not good for Dalvin Cook. Then I think I cut him. And unfortunately, why I had to start Dalvin Cook is because Eckler's out, Myers out. That's really it. But then I think I'm going to win next week because I have Ford. I still have Waddle. And what did Waddle do last week? Waddle had 12 points, so a respective 12 points for Waddle. And then I picked up Josh Reynolds, and I think he's gonna do really good. Because he's done great so far, and you just have to ride the hot hand. But again, I have Myers out, I have Acker out, I have Eckler out. Zay Jones isn't really playing that good. I picked up Tank Dell, just because he had a good couple of games, and I wanted to see if anything would happen. I mean, there's with such a deep league, and when you have a lot of people, there's not really a lot of good like free agents right now. But in the coming weeks, there's going to be people who get dropped. There's going to be people who sit on somebody's team the entire time, just collecting points but never get used. But I do feel strongly. I'm a little weak, I think, in my wide receivers. I don't know how Curtis Samuel is going to do, but both my starting receivers are out. I may actually put Brandon Ayuk, now thinking about it, Brandon Ayuk on... Oh, I guess I can't. I guess it has to say IR to put him on IR. That's unfortunate. That's okay. It's such a deep league. Um, yeah, I feel strongly for this week because I know Justin Herbert's going to do good, and he's against, I believe, when it says, yeah, opponent rank. Um, that means they're against an easier team. Now, is that easier because like let's throw this at let's look at what they think is easy. So right now they have fifth as Atlanta. Atlanta doesn't really have a quarterback, but they have been playing good. Tyler Aguilar, who I actually had, but I think I cut, because they have Bijan Robinson, who's going. I'm assuming they're going to give him more touches. Um, but it is always important to look at the opponents. So the three guys that I'm really uncertain about are my running backs, but the interesting thing is with Jerome Ford, he's now the starter for the Cleveland Browns because, in shocking news, what's his name? Nick Chubb is out for the year, so that's huge for Jerome Ford. And if Jerome Ford can't take a handle of this opportunity, then they're just going to get somebody else. But he did pretty good in his first week. He's projected to get 13 points, only because they're up against the Tennessee Titans, who are right now the number one ranked team. But again, everything is subjective. But the interesting thing about Jerome Ford is in the bio, because you have to always read that just to see about injuries, just to see what they say about that player this week. You can. I got distracted by this. It's important to look at that because it said that this is a tough opponent, but by just sheer usability, Jerome Ford's probably going to hit his 13-point projection. He may not, but it's just the sheer usability of this player. They're going to use him probably no matter what because I don't think the Browns have good wide receivers. Well, they have Odell Beckham Jr., but I think that's it. Like, I don't remember off the top of my head who the wide receivers are. So I think he's just by sheer will, he's just going to get his projected points. Now, I'm uncertain about Josh Reynolds and Curtis Samuel because Atlanta, again, it says they're fifth ranked, but I don't know. And the other thing too is like, oh, like I should start then Dalvin Cook because they're against the Patriots who are 24th ranked. But the Patriots had two strong games last week, like a couple low scores too. So I don't know how great that would be for a running back. And I do definitely need to win this week because then I'll be 1-2 if I lose. But the nice thing about so many weeks is you have the chance to come back. You have the chance to try a player out. So I think I'm just going to leave my lineup for this week. The only two caveats that I'm worried about is Curtis Samuel and Josh Reynolds. But Josh Reynolds has been doing amazing as of late, so I'm going to play the hot hand. Curtis Samuel, I'm a little unsure because he has been playing okay. Let me just see if it'll load. Come on, where is it? There it is. So he had 11 points in 6. Very respectable. Not like amazing, but not terrible. Like 6 points is 6 points. Like you never know. That could help you for that week. But I don't really have an option to play. Like Zay Jones. Yeah, he did have 16 points, but he is questionable with his knees. So I may actually switch the two, because he's playing against the Houston Texans and he's projected 10 points, but Curtis Samuel is only projected 8. So I may actually switch them right now. They are against Buffalo, so you know what? I'm gonna switch them. I'm gonna just hope for the best. And Josh Reynolds, I think he's going to do good. And I stayed with the 49ers offense because they've been doing good lately. Where is it? Come on. They had 13 points in the first week and then 4 in last week. And I may be thinking about switching, but I don't know. Let's just look at what defense they have available. So the nice thing to learn too is the yellow means waiver. The green means you can just pick them up right now and swap them right now. So if you want to take a chance on picking up Brock Purdy, you have to then look at where you are in the waiver order to see if somebody might pick him ahead of you, because then you're screwed. Then you think you're going to get the player and then you don't. So it is important to look at that, to look at what guys are on waivers and what guys are on just a pure free agent. So let me just make that big screen so it's easier. And where is the there it is. So I always change. I don't know how to do. I've never done it on the computer, but I'm gonna try and change. Oh, I guess it's all just here. Okay, then let me see. Where is it? Rank, positional rank. Let it load. So the Buccaneers do have the first ranking right now. They're averaging 12 points, and their last points was 16, which you would think is pretty good. But then you go and look at the first game. In the first game, they did do better, but the issue is they're against. That's why I dropped them again, because they're against Philly, and they may not get a lot of points, and then they're against the Saints, and then they're in the bye week. So then I'm screwed for a defense, and I don't know how good or bad the Saints are doing. So they may win in that week, and maybe I'll pick them up next week. But it is all about God, sorry, I lost my train of thought. It's all about week by week. You just have to. Oh, I have 9 points right now. Who's playing? Why do I have 9 points? Somebody's playing. Somebody has 9 points. I don't know who. That doesn't make sense, because... Oh, Kittle. They started the game. Yeah, so Brandon Ayuk is out. I didn't know that the 49ers were playing today. Weird that it doesn't show... Huh. I'm in Team Jason. That's weird. Whatever. Okay. I don't understand why it's not showing, Maybe it's this team? Weird. I think it's this team, because that's the team I have George Kittle in. Anyways, I'll see what happens after. So the 49ers are actually playing. So now I'm locked in. I could have swapped them just as I was talking about it. I'm now locked in. So we'll let that happen. Now we will talk about. Let me just. Oh wait, it's on not that one. Forgot I had this. Now we're going to talk about if you're really unsure of who to start. A good example of Zach Moss, because Zach Moss was doing good. I guess you can't compare. Well, let me try. So this is a nice website to compare players with. So I don't know if I can. Oh, I can. Nice. So if you're obviously for the flex, because in the app you can't compare different positions together. Okay. So let's look at the advice to see who they say to start. They actually say to start Zach Moss, which is very interesting. I would have assumed they would say to start. Sorry, I just ate, so I still have heartburn right now. There it is. Yeah, so I don't have the premium. I could get it eventually down the road, but that's interesting that they say don't start Puka. Yeah, it is hard to examine these players because it is a little back and forth. Like Some of them say to start him. Some of them say to start him. But almost a majority of them say to start Zach Moss, and I actually don't have him starting. But I'm unsure because Zach Moss. Well, didn't think it would go to a whole separate page, but Zach Moss has only 20 points, but why it's important to read. Oh, I guess it's not in the app. That's weird. Huh. Oh yeah, right here. Sorry. It says Zach Moss has 80 carries. He is now an every week fantasy starter, but his exception to be held to RB2 territory, with Anthony Richardson chipping in with the running game, which is a good thing and a bad thing for the quarterback, because if Anthony Richardson goes down, that's kind of a good thing for the running back, because then he'll actually be the official running back. But that is interesting that it says to start Zach Moss. But let's just say I'm extremely undecided, and both of them are really good players. There's a spin the wheel option where let's just see what happens. And you can be like, well, I'm thinking about Moss, I'm thinking about Puka. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll start Moss and see what happens. If you're just really unsure, like if you just can't pick between the two, even the randomness says to start Zach Moss. So I don't know. But yeah, I'm pretty confident with this team right now. We own one because we just had a bye week. I upgraded my kicker, upgraded my defense. My starters except for Kyron have been playing great. All of them are right now on, well, most of them are on like medium I was gonna say villains, medium opponents. So let's see. Okay, let's see how I'm doing. I guess it won't tell me. Okay, weird that it won't tell me how many points. Still says 9. So we'll see what happens. I just got a notification, so let's see. George Kittle is in the end zone. So let's just see what happens. But now we're going to talk about last week's scores. Well, we let the other team. Well, we let the teams do their things. That's what I was trying to get at. So a big game for Curtis Cousins. Now, like I mentioned before, the Vikings are my underdog choice to win it all, because I like Curtis Cousins. Like, I've always liked Curtis Cousins. I've always liked the Vikings team. They've always just been that team to really just accept a loss and like move on. There's a lot of teams and a lot of players who constantly bring up the losses, who constantly bring up just the losses. Like, they constantly bring up the history. It's like the Vikings don't do that. They care, but they don't really care in the end. So Kirk Cousins had an amazing game. So did Swift, and I unfortunately cut him. And I honestly drafted a really good team, and if I just stuck with my team that I drafted, I would have probably been winning in both my weeks. Because DeAndre Swift, I don't know if I can see it through here, but he had himself a fantasy day. I think he had at least like 25 points or more. So I'm really upset that I cut him, because, and I even went against my own advice to not make major changes until week 3, because even if you go 0-3 in the first 3 weeks, you could easily come back and win. That's why there's 18 weeks. Like, you have plenty of time. I just went against my own advice, and it was the wrong choice. And then so we have the Packers and the Falcons. The Falcons are 2-0, and that was a sneaky win. Well, they are now 2-0, but that was a sneaky win for them. Ritter had an amazing game, and Bijan Robinson had an incredible game at 124 yards. So that means Tyler Aguilar is not going to get a lot of touches. I don't think he's going to get a lot of touches. So that's why I dropped him, because I don't see that working out in my favor. And then we have the Bills and the Raiders. As you can see, it was a very close game, 38-10. Very very close. Josh Allen just decided to say, "Hey, f you" to the Raiders, and threw for 274 yards with 3 touchdowns. James Cook went off for 123, and then Gabriel Davis, another guy that I picked up, that I drafted, and decided he wasn't good because he didn't do good in his first week. And I'm actually going to just double check to see if he is available in the league, because I will forget to look later. That's not very helpful. Oh, he is actually available. Yeah, he had 21 points. I may actually look into picking him up. He is just available to add. But I don't really know if I have anybody I can drop. I do have 4 running backs and 2, so I may drop one of them. Don't really know. I don't know. He had one good game, and I'm gonna now take my own advice and I'm just gonna wait until week 3. So let's just move on. So we got the Ravens and the Bengals. Lamar Jackson also decided he was gonna go off and have an amazing game, but still a close game. Joe Burrow, I don't, if for some reason it doesn't show the stats here. Sorry. But obviously he had a very good game, and they won, I'm assuming, off of a kick. It looks like it was off a kick, but it could have been off a touchdown. But again, great games. The Seahawks and Lions. Geno Smith, man, he's being very underrated right now. I thought he wasn't going to have a good game. I thought he wasn't going to have a good year. But he's really proved the haters wrong, that he's not just a one-hit wonder. Now again, it is week 2, so everybody's just kind of holding their tempers right now. And then we have the Chargers and Titans. Now the Chargers, again, there's way more time in the year for them to come back, but they are right now 0-2. Even though Herbert is having an amazing year, the rest of his team isn't. He doesn't have any supporting cast. Yeah, he has Keenan Allen, but they still lost. They lost against the Titans. But again, it is week 2. Nothing really matters at this point in the season. Then we have the Bears and the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers are 2-0. So I'm iffy about dropping their defense, because they just won. They have Baker Mayfield as their quarterback, but right now it's doing them favors. Like, he threw for 317 yards. That's amazing. Like, that's amazing even by him. Like, so he's really turned his career around. Now, yes, he's winning in on the field, but he's not doing good on fantasy. But I mean, good on him for playing good. And we have the Chiefs and the Jaguars. Mahomes decided he was going to go off and throw for 305 yards. Christian Kirk, very underrated player. I believe he played for the Titans, or maybe he's always no, he played for somebody before the Jaguars, and I can't remember. But he's doing like incredible this year. Now I just happened to look down against the Colts and the Titans game, and C.J. Stroud threw for 384 yards. That's incredible. Like, even Nico Collins had 146. I'm gonna actually see if he's available in fantasy. Sorry about this. He is. What did he get last week? He has 27 and 14 points. I'm going to pick him up right now, but I don't know who to drop. That's my issue. Like, do I want to drop Moss? I may drop Moss now thinking about it. He did get 20 points. But it says he's now an every week fantasy starter, but his exceptions should. You know what? I am gonna drop him, because I do need a running back, or a wide receiver, and he's a green, so I can pick him up right now. I wonder if I should play him, but I don't really have. Oh, George Kittle doesn't have any points right now. Just because the game it's still very early. But the Texans are 2-0, and imagine you're C.J. Stroud, and you got picked first overall or second overall. You threw for 384 yards, and you lost to the Colts, who I don't even know who the quarterback is actually. And then you have the 49ers and the Rams. Matthew Stafford, honestly doing Matthew Stafford things. Even though they lost, he's still playing very good. Nakua threw for 147 yards. Now, the team that is surprising a lot of people, actually, yeah, honestly, the team that's surprising a lot of people, I was going to say 2, but I didn't see that they're 0-2. Daniel Jones threw for 321 yards. Like, he's playing amazing, even though he got, like, ginormously shut out in week 1. But man, they may be a sneaky good team. And then the Jets and the Cowboys. The Jets, I'm so sorry for Rodgers. Everybody really wanted to see the resurgence of Rodgers' career in the Jets, because, like, what a great opportunity for him to go to. And then tears his ACL and literally throw one. He threw the ball, got sacked as he was throwing, and tore his ACL. Like, what a way to start your season. So obviously now they have started Zach Wilson again. They've been trying to get away from Zach Wilson, but they just can't. But Dak Prescott decided, you know what? F Aaron Rodgers. I'm gonna throw for 255 yards, and won the game 30-10. The Dallas Cowboys are surprisingly 2-0 right now, so we'll see how that goes. And then we have the Commanders and the Broncos. And even though Wilson, who I never really liked, threw for an amazing game, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, they're 0-2. And I knew that wasn't going to be a good choice for either person. Like, what a weird team for Ryan Wilson to go to. And what a weird team to pick up an aging quarterback. I would have thought they would want to get younger. Like, they're not really the only thing they're actually helping is the young guys on their team. But that just proves you need a good quarterback for that. Because next year, Ryan Wilson may just leave. I actually forget how long Wilson's contract is, but he may just leave and decide, hey, I'm going to go to another team. And then your top young players who were here now go to here because they don't have a good quarterback. Then we had a heartbreaking loss between the Patriots and the Dolphins. Again, Tua is doing really good this year. After coming off of his concussion year, he's now really picked it up, and I'm really happy for him. Morissette, I'm surprised is getting yards, because Morissette and I'm gonna actually see if Morissette's available. What's the other guy's name? The new guy on the Dolphins. Aheem. Morisette. That's how you spell it. He's picked up. He's 6th. Wow, he's ranking 6th. Waddle, I have him on my team, and he's doing pretty good. And then the final 2, we have the final 4. We have the Saints and the Panthers. Panthers, I'm not really surprised, are not doing good. I forget who the quarterback is. I think they had the first overall pick, but I forget who they picked. I would remember if I saw the name, but Derek Carr. I've always liked Derek Carr because I always liked the Raiders team. And I knew that Derek Carr was going to be a good quarterback, and they're 2-0 right now. Again, anything could change, but like starting the season off with 2-0 with an aging quarterback instead of deciding to go younger is a great option. Chris Olave is playing amazing, and then we have the Browns and the Steelers. And I mean, Deshaun Watson, there's nothing good you can say about the guy, like off field. I don't really follow him on field. I don't really have anything good to say about him because of the off field stuff. But George Pickens, who I also had on my team, I'm going to see what his fantasy points were. If I just stuck to my guns. But I'm antsy. I like picking up people and dropping people. Of course he had 22 points. I should have just kept him. I don't know why I dropped him. And then Jerome Ford, who had a respective week last week, and that was with Nick Chubb still in. But now Nick Chubb is gone. So that's really going to help him. But we're getting to the end of this, so I'm just going to fly through who to start and who to not start. Start, I would say start Kirk Cousins. I think that's going to be an ideal. If you don't have any option at quarterback, if you can somehow get Kirk Cousins, I think you should start Kirk Cousins. Now it does say sit Jordan Love, but I don't know. He's been playing really good. You know what? Let's where is it? Oh yeah. Let's do this. Let's add the two people. So let's look at Love, Jordan Love, Bryce Young. That's who the Panthers chose, and Kirk Cousins. Let's see who it says to start. It actually says 100% to start Kirk Cousins. He beats him almost like by like 150 yards, maybe even more, probably even 200 in the passing yards allowed. He beats him even in rushing yards. He beats him in literally all categories, which is surprising because Jordan Love has been playing very good. This all could change down the road, but he's top 10, top 5 in most categories by all the experts. So that's really interesting. Just for the fun of it, let's see what Chance even says to start Kirk Cousins. So you know what? Start Kirk Cousins. I'm just gonna close that, and we will. Where is it? Yes. So I guess Chance says to start Kirk Cousins. So we'll just quickly go down. Now that's an interesting person to start. But honestly, I'm not surprised to see his name on this list. It makes sense. Let's go down. So it does say to sit James Gunn, even though James Gunn is the starting quarterback for the Cardinals. It tells me to sit him. I wish I still had the thing up, but that's interesting. That it says to start. I want to see how Travis Etienne is doing. Sorry about this. Just want to see how. He's 16th ranked, and he's 21 points in the first week and 6 in week 2. So that seems weird that it says to start him. But, I mean, hey, start him if you want. But yeah, so that's, it's your team. You can start anybody you want. If you want to start all young guys, if you want to start all older guys, that's completely fine. If you're in one of those, I forget what it's called, one of those like keeper leagues. So I think it's basically you have to give up one player a year, something like that. Honestly, I've never done them, but they sound kind of fun. But for now, I am going to get off. But you're awesome, stay awesome, and rock on. Peace.